Canada, where the whisper of pine forests meets the roar of ocean surf, and winter's hush blankets mountains, marshes, and endless skies. This is a land sculpted by ice and wind. Canada speaks in quiet wonders. The shimmer of northern lights across frozen lakes, the rush of wings over prairie fields, and the haunting call of loons echoing through dawn mist. From the snow-draped tundra of the Arctic Circle to the temperate rainforests of the Pacific coast, to the maple-drenched woodlands of the east, this country shelters a tapestry of birds. Resilient, radiant, and rare. In this episode from BBTV Official, we travel into Canada's wild soul, discovering 32 extraordinary birds whose feathers, voices, and lives reflect the raw majesty of one of Earth's last great frontiers. If you find wonder in wings and wilderness, tap like, subscribe, and ring the bell, so you're ready for the next journey into the world's most beautiful creatures. Snowy owl, Buboscandiacus. When winter takes hold of the Arctic tundra and the sun barely grazes the horizon, a silent sentinel emerges, cloaked in snow, forged by wind. The snowy owl, Buboscandiacus, is not merely a bird, but a presence, mythic and magnetic. Its Latin name whispers of the north, Scandiacus, of Scandinavia. But in Canada, this owl reigns as one of the most iconic raptors of the frozen wild. From the wind-carved expanses of Nunavut and northern Manitoba to the southern prairies, in winter, snowy owls trace invisible paths over open plains and coastal marsh. They are nomads of the north, following the pulse of lemming populations, sometimes journeying astonishing distances. Males, nearly pure white, gleam like living ice sculptures, while females and juveniles wear dark flecks and bars, storm clouds trapped in feather. Weighing up to 6.5 pounds and stretching 5 feet in wingspan, they are among the largest owls on Earth, with piercing yellow eyes that burn against a pale canvas. What sets them apart is not just beauty, it's boldness. Unlike their woodland cousins, snowy owls hunt by day, sweeping low across tundra in ghost-like silence to strike with deadly force. Lemmings are their bread and butter, but rabbits, ducks, and even gulls may fall prey. They build their nests on bare ground where the wind never stops and the sky stretches forever. Females lay up to a dozen eggs, more when prey is abundant. She guards them fiercely, a fortress in feathers. Picture this: a blizzard breaks, the land stills, and from the white abyss, 2 glowing eyes appear. The snowy owl watches, unmoved. She is winter's breath given wings. Spotted towhee, Pipilo maculatus. Rustling leaves give it away, not wind, not squirrel, but something deliberate, rhythmic, alive. Beneath the tangle of brambles and sun-dappled understory, the spotted towhee stirs, a fire-eyed forager with embers in its feathers. Pipilo maculatus, the name itself suggests contrast. Pipilo, meaning a soft chirp. Maculatus, meaning spotted or speckled. This is a bird that hides in plain sight and yet never fails to dazzle. Ranging across southern British Columbia, the foothills of Alberta, and spilling westward along Canada's Pacific slope, the spotted towhee thrives where thickets and edge habitats meet. It prefers dense, shrubby undergrowth, where shadows and sunbeams weave a perfect camouflage. About 8.5 inches long, this bird is unmistakable once seen. Jet black upperparts streaked with white spots, a warm rufous blaze along its flanks, and bright red eyes that gleam with perpetual alertness. The tail, long and expressive, flicks like punctuation to its every move. Towhees don't nibble, they rummage. With bold, double-footed hops, they scratch through leaf litter, flinging debris aside to unearth seeds, berries, beetles, and tiny invertebrates. It's less a feeding method and more a miniature excavation ritual, repeated 1,000 times beneath the forest veil. They feed both on the ground and in low vegetation, shifting from insects and spiders to acorns and fruit as the seasons turn. But always, they scratch, hop, and flick, like dancers of the forest floor. Nesting low in bramble thickets, the female weaves a deep cup and guards up to 6 eggs. While she broods, the male lingers nearby, alert and vocal. As twilight deepens and the air turns gold, a soft trill rises from the brush. The towhee remains unseen, but its voice lingers, like a memory stitched into the forest's breath. Evening grosbeak, Cocothrastes vespertinus. Gold flashes through conifer shadows like a winged ember. Perched among spruce and pine, the evening grosbeak glows against the green. A bold splash of sunlight with a beak like forged ivory. Its name, Cocothrastes vespertinus, carries poetry and precision. Kernel breaker of the evening. Once believed to sing only at twilight, this songbird now fills daylight woods with crackling presence. Native to the boreal forests of central and western Canada, the evening grosbeak wanders widely, sometimes sweeping into southern provinces or erupting southward in winter eruptions. It favors stands of spruce, fir, and maple, places where seeds, buds, and berries are plenty, and the air rings with quiet northern winds. Stocky and unmistakable at just over 8 inches long, males wear golden cloaks with black and white wings, a blazing yellow eyebrow streak, and that enormous pale green conical bill, powerful enough to shatter cherry pits. Females and juveniles are more subdued in soft grays and olive tones, but their form is just as thick-set and sturdy. This bird is a seed assassin. Whether cracking sunflower husks or prying open samaras, its bill delivers crushing strength. Flocks gather at feeders or treetops, devouring seeds in bursts of chatter and wingbeats. In summer, they turn to insects, especially spruce budworm, a forest pest they help control. Evening grosbeaks nest high in trees, concealed by thick foliage. The female builds a loose platform of twigs and rootlets, where she lays 2 to 5 eggs in the quiet green world above. When winter deepens and frost dusts the treetops, listen for the grosbeak's sharp metallic calls, notes that cut through the silence like flint on stone. Then look up. A golden shape may be watching, still as sculpture, before vanishing into the snow-draped canopy. Steller's jay, Cyanochita stelleri. Blue fire flickers through the conifers, sharp, electric, impossible to ignore. The Steller's jay, Cyanochita stelleri, arrives not quietly, but in bold declarations, both seen and heard. Named after Georg Wilhelm Steller, the German naturalist who first recorded it in Alaska in the 18th century, this jay wears the forest like armor and mischief like a crown. Widespread across the mountainous west of Canada, from British Columbia's coastal rainforests to the pine ridges of Alberta, Steller's jays are birds of the evergreens. They thrive where spruce, fir, and hemlock stand tall and dappled light dances through needled canopies. About 11.5 inches long, with a strong, upright crest and striking black and blue plumage, the Steller's jay looks dipped in midnight ink and cobalt flame. The head and upper body are sooty black, fading into radiant blues on the wings and tail, feathers that seem to carry the shimmer of storm clouds and mountain streams. But it's their voice, not just their colors, that makes them unforgettable. These jays mimic hawks, squeak like gates, or burst into scolding chatter with theatrical flair. Curious and fearless, they steal crumbs from campers, raid unattended picnics, and cache acorns with careful precision. Their diet is wide-ranging: insects, seeds, berries, small reptiles, and even nestlings. Steller's jays forage from canopy to forest floor, flipping leaves, probing bark, and occasionally descending with a swoop to snag what others miss. Hidden high in conifer limbs, they weave their nests from twigs, moss, and mud lined with pine needles. Both parents share the duty of feeding their chicks, delivering meals wrapped in vigilance. When you hear laughter echo through a misty cedar grove and catch a flash of deep blue vanishing between trees, the forest trickster has passed, leaving only mystery in its wake. Spruce grouse, Falcipennis canadensis. The forest holds its breath as heavy silence settles between the trees. Then suddenly, a burst of wings from the forest floor, like the thud of a muffled drum. That's the calling card of the spruce grouse, Falcipennis canadensis, a bird so cryptic it's earned the nickname fool hen for its near invisibility and strange calm in the face of danger. Its Latin name means Canadian sicklewing, a nod to its sweeping arc of flight and northern roots. Endemic to the boreal forests of Canada, the spruce grouse blends seamlessly into its surroundings. Found from Newfoundland and Labrador across to British Columbia and northward into the Yukon, it favors dense conifer stands, particularly black spruce, tamarack, and jack pine, where the forest floor is spongy with moss and shadowed by evergreen needles. Roughly 16 inches long and weighing about 1.5 pounds, males sport an elegant slate plumage barred with white, a dark tail edged in chestnut, and a fiery red eyebrow comb that ignites during courtship. Females wear earth-toned camouflage, perfectly matching lichen, bark, and leaf litter. Unlike other forest birds, spruce grouse rarely fly unless startled. They spend most of their lives on the ground, moving slowly and deliberately, feeding on spruce needles with a specialized digestive system that grows extra intestinal tissue in winter. During breeding season, males perform a dramatic wing clap display, leaping into the air and producing a loud, echoing snap. It's not just a show of strength, it's an ancient forest ritual played out in quiet glades. If you're lucky, you might spot one standing motionless among the roots, staring back without fear. In that moment, it's not just a bird, but the still heart of the boreal itself, pulsing gently beneath the trees. Harlequin duck, Histrionicus histrionicus. Whitewater roars through mountain gorges, carving stone and spraying mist, and riding that chaos with grace and precision is one of Canada's most striking waterfowl. The Harlequin duck, Histrionicus histrionicus, moves like a daredevil and dresses like a performer. Its name, rooted in Latin, nods to a theatrical past. Histrionicus, meaning actor, and no bird fits the bill more perfectly. Found along fast-flowing streams in British Columbia and parts of Atlantic Canada, this duck thrives where few others dare to land. It favors tumbling rivers and rocky coastlines, places filled with noise and movement, where whitecaps rise and crash over jagged boulders. These are not calm waters, but the harlequin embraces the storm. At just over 17 inches long, the male's plumage defies subtlety. Slate blue, boldly marked with crescents of white, chestnut flanks, and fine black lines that ripple like brushstrokes. The female is dusky brown with a soft white patch behind each eye, muted but no less adapted to her crashing world. This species dives headfirst into rapids, using its powerful legs and compact body to navigate underwater currents in search of aquatic insects, crustaceans, and small fish. Watching them disappear into swirling water and emerge calmly downstream is like witnessing choreography written by the river itself. Breeding pairs nest near mountain torrents, often hidden in crevices or under dense shrubs. The female incubates her clutch while the male vanishes into post-breeding solitude. Ducklings, hatched into the thunder of rushing streams, take to the water almost immediately. Catch a glimpse of one, and it may seem unreal, like a painted bird swept up by river foam. But it's real, and it's fearless. The Harlequin duck is the spirit of wild water, feathered and alive. Bufflehead, Bucephala albeola. Sunlight ripples across a northern lake, and then, like a dropped pearl, a tiny duck surfaces, shimmering with iridescent green and violet. This is the bufflehead, Bucephala albeola, a name that blends ancient roots. Bucephala from Greek, meaning bull-headed, a nod to its oversized, rounded head, and albeola, meaning whitish, for the brilliant splash of snow white at its crown. Found across boreal wetlands and wooded ponds from Yukon to Newfoundland, the bufflehead favors places where forests meet water, especially where old woodpecker holes offer a ready-made home. Though among the smallest diving ducks in North America, just 13 inches long, they command attention with every flash of motion. The male is a marvel of compact design, black back, white chest, and a large white patch across the back of the head that gleams against a glossy, multicolored crown. In sunlight, the dark head ignites with metallic blues, emeralds, and purples, like oil on water. Females and juveniles wear more modest tones, grays, browns, and a discreet white cheek spot, but move with equal finesse. Buffleheads are born swimmers. They vanish below the surface in seconds, diving for aquatic insects, larvae, crustaceans, and seeds. Beneath the still water, they twist and glide with astonishing agility, propelled by rapid kicks and tucked wings. Nesting high in tree cavities, often abandoned flicker or sapsucker holes, the female lines the chamber with down and raises her brood in solitude. Within 2 days of hatching, the ducklings leap from the nest, tumbling through air to water below. Spotting one feels like catching a living spark, quick, bright, and vanishing just as suddenly. The bufflehead isn't just a duck, it's a flicker of northern light in motion, dancing where forest and water meet. Surf scoter, Melanita perspicillata. Waves break against a stony shoreline, tossing spray into the wind. Riding just beyond the surf like shadows trimmed in orange and ivory, drift the unmistakable silhouettes of surf scoters. Melanita perspicillata. Its scientific name means black duck with piercing sight, and its look is just as striking as its name suggests. Breeding in the boreal forest lakes and tundra ponds of central and western Canada, the surf scoter spends its summers in solitude, far from human view. But come autumn, flocks gather by the thousands along British Columbia's Pacific coast and the Atlantic bays of Quebec and Newfoundland, dancing on swells and plunging beneath crashing waves. Males wear a dramatic costume of jet black with vivid patches, a swollen multicolored bill streaked with orange, white, and red, a stark white patch on the nape, and another gleaming above the eyes. Their profile is bold, almost sculptural. Females are more reserved, clad in chocolate brown with pale cheeks and a subtler bill, yet perfectly adapted to their watery realm. Surf scoters are masters of underwater foraging. With powerful dives, they vanish beneath the surface to pry mollusks, crustaceans, and aquatic insects from rocky seabeds. Their bills crush clamshells with ease, turning turbulent coastlines into feeding grounds. Nest sites lie hidden inland, far from salt water. Females choose secluded ground near northern lakes, where they tuck their nests into grassy hummocks and line them with down. Once the ducklings hatch, they're quickly led to water, where independence begins almost immediately. When ocean fog rolls in and the sea turns steel gray, look to the surf. There, through the mist, a flash of orange bill or the glint of white eye mark may reveal them, silent mariners of Canada's rugged coasts. Black scoter, Melanita americana. Out on windswept waters where the sky meets the waves in shades of steel and ash, Dark forms bob and vanish beneath the surface. Among them drifts the black scoter, Melanita americana, a sea duck cloaked in mystery and power. Its name translates to black duck of the Americas, but in Canada's vast coastal wilds, it feels more like a shadow stitched into the fabric of the ocean. These ducks nest in the remote north, across the boreal zones of central Canada, from the tundra pools of Nunavut to the muskeg wetlands of Manitoba. After breeding, they migrate to saltwater shores, gathering in loose flocks off the coasts of British Columbia, the Maritimes and Newfoundland, where cold spray and crashing surf are constant companions. Males are unmistakable, coal-black plumage, velvet in texture, interrupted only by a swollen, knob-like bill glowing in orange and outlined in jet. It looks like an ember set in obsidian. Females, more cryptic in dusty browns and soft face markings, move through coastal swells with understated elegance. Beneath the waves, black scoters dive with force and precision, using their sturdy bodies to chase down mussels, clams, and marine invertebrates. With each plunge, they disappear into the sea's silence, then surface yards away like spirits reborn. Nesting far from sight, females tuck their eggs in shallow depressions lined with down. Solitary and secretive, they raise their brood in still northern waters where silence reigns and predators circle unseen. When the wind stiffens and the tide begins its turn, keep watch over the gray horizon. One by one, black forms drift into view, sea-bound travelers etched in shadow, carried by rhythm, tide, and instinct toward Canada's untamed coasts. Ring-necked duck, Aethia calaris. Ripples spread across a quiet lake, and from the reeds emerges a silhouette trimmed in charcoal and silver, elegant, poised, and unmistakably wild. This is the ring-necked duck, Aethia calaris, a name both descriptive and deceptive. Though named for a subtle chestnut ring circling the neck, it's the bird's bold head and piercing golden eyes that first draw attention. Widespread across Canada's freshwater wetlands, from British Columbia's mountain lakes to the boggy pools of Nova Scotia, these diving ducks favor still water with dense vegetation. They thrive in beaver ponds, boreal sloughs, and shallow bays, anywhere the margins between open water and reedy cover blur. Males wear a tailored look, black back and head with a soft iridescent sheen, slate-gray flanks, and a clean white shoulder slash. Their bill, rimmed in black and white, gleams like polished stone. Females are cloaked in warm browns with a subtle white eye-ring and a more delicate bill, understated yet striking in their own right. Underwater, ring-necked ducks are agile foragers. They dive in sudden fluid arcs, using strong legs and webbed feet to probe the muddy bottom for snails, seeds, aquatic plants, and insect larvae. Between dives, they surface quietly, alert, surveying, ready to vanish again. Nesting often on floating mats of vegetation or tucked into grassy hummocks, the female lays up to a dozen eggs. She alone incubates, hidden by cattails, while the male departs for distant molting grounds. And then, just as suddenly as it arrived, it slips beneath the surface, leaving only a ring of stillness behind. No splash, no sound, just the lingering question, was it ever really there? Black-capped chickadee, Pocile atricapillus. Snow clings to pine needles in a frozen forest, but somewhere amid the stillness, a tiny voice rings out, bright, deliberate, and full of warmth. That sound, both playful and alert, belongs to one of Canada's most beloved birds, the black-capped chickadee. Its scientific name, Pocile atricapillus, loosely translates to black-haired little companion, a fitting title for this fearless woodland sprite. Found from the rocky coasts of Nova Scotia to the shadowed spruce stands of the Yukon, the chickadee braves winters that drive others south. It favors mixed and deciduous forests, often near human homes, where it flits through branches like a breeze made visible. Just 5 inches long and weighing barely half an ounce, the chickadee is easily recognized by its namesake black cap and bib, soft white cheeks, and buffy flanks. Its round body, oversized head, and expressive movements give it a charming, toy-like appearance. But don't let the cuteness fool you. This bird is clever, resilient, and astonishingly adaptable. Its diet shifts with the seasons: insects and caterpillars in summer, seeds, berries, and even hibernating spiders in winter. It stashes food in bark crevices and remembers thousands of hiding spots, thanks to a brain that literally grows in autumn to boost memory. During nesting season, pairs excavate cavities in rotten wood or take over abandoned woodpecker holes. The female builds a cozy, insulated cup of moss, hair, and feathers, where she incubates 6 to 8 eggs in soft seclusion. Sometimes, when the world falls silent under snow, a single chickadee will break the hush, not with a flash of color, but with a song that rises like hope from the hush of the frozen woods, calling life back into the trees. Red-breasted nuthatch, Sitta canadensis. The bark cracks gently beneath tiny claws as a feathered flame darts headfirst down a spruce trunk, upside down, unbothered, completely in control. That flash of color and agility belongs to the red-breasted nuthatch, Sitta canadensis, a name that ties it to the coniferous heart of the north. Sitta, from Greek, means nuthacker, a tribute to its feeding style, and canadensis marks its deep roots in Canada's boreal woodlands. From the dense fir forests of British Columbia to the tamarack bogs of Newfoundland, this small bird thrives where evergreen needles crowd the sky. It's a creature of vertical spaces, of trunks, cones, and the unseen insect worlds beneath bark. Measuring just 4.5 inches long, it wears a bold outfit for its size: slate blue above, with a warm cinnamon breast, a crisp black eye stripe, and a needle-sharp bill that never rests. Its movements are rapid, angular, and deliberate, more like a squirrel than a songbird. Its voice is unmistakable, a nasal toy trumpet yank-yank call that echoes through the canopy like a miniature foghorn. It sounds comical, but serves as both warning and contact, proof that the forest, though still, is never truly silent. Nuthatches feed on insect larvae, spiders, seeds, and sweet, prying them from bark crevices with surgical precision. They cache food like treasure, wedging sunflower seeds into tree cracks and returning days later with uncanny memory. Nesting begins with a rare trait. They excavate their own cavity, lining the entrance with sticky tree resin, a natural predator repellent. Inside, the female raises her brood in a chamber hidden deep within wood. Catch one mid-descent, head pointed toward the forest floor, and it feels like gravity has lost meaning. For the red-breasted nuthatch, the forest is not just home. It's a playground turned upside down. Mountain bluebird, Steller corocoides. Sky seems to have taken flight over the foothills, gliding, gleaming, impossibly blue. The mountain bluebird drifts through open country like a feathered wisp of sky. Its name, Steller corocoides, nods to its thrush ancestry, though no other bird wears blue quite like this. Found across western Canada, from Alberta's rolling prairies to the high meadows of British Columbia and the Yukon, it favors wide-open spaces, grasslands, fence lines, and burned forests where insects gather and trees stand sparse but purposeful. Males shimmer in vivid turquoise from head to tail, with powder blue underparts that glow in sunlight. Females are more modest in grayish-blue tones, built for camouflage but equally sleek and elegant. Just 7 inches long, they're light-boned and seemingly born of air. Bluebirds feed in graceful bursts, hovering just above the ground before dropping down on grasshoppers, beetles, and caterpillars. Each movement is quiet and clean, a dance of wings over windswept earth. Though comfortable in the open, they depend on tree cavities for breeding. The female builds a grassy nest in an abandoned woodpecker hole or nest box, where she lays up to 8 pale blue eggs, so delicate they seem painted by the sky itself. Courtship is gentle, soft trills, fluttering displays, and food offerings. Once chicks fledge, family groups sweep over hills together, stitching across the horizon in loose formation. And when one lifts into the air, weightless and glowing above a sea of golden grass, the world seems briefly transformed. It's as if a piece of the sky has remembered how to fly, and it carries the light of the land with it, wherever it goes. Western bluebird, Sialia mexicana. As sunlight spills across the forest edge, a flicker of cobalt and rust cuts through the air like a brushstroke on a living canvas. Perched quietly on a low branch, the western bluebird surveys the open ground below. Its name, Sialia mexicana, reflects both its radiant hues and its southwestern range, but it finds a northern home in southern British Columbia. These birds prefer edge habitats, open pine woodlands, sunlit meadows, and the transitional spaces where grassland blends into forest. They thrive in mosaic landscapes, those with scattered snags, low perches, and plenty of open ground to forage. Males wear vivid royal blue across the crown, wings, and back, with a burnt orange chest that softens into gray underparts. Females share the same pattern in gentler tones, with dusty blues and rusty browns blending into soft gray. At just 7 inches long, they bring brilliance without ostentation. Bluebirds feed from the ground up. Perched low, they watch for movement, then flutter down in short, precise dives to snap up beetles, crickets, and caterpillars. In colder months, they turn to berries, joining small flocks to forage communally. Nesting begins with a search for tree cavities, often abandoned woodpecker holes or nest boxes. The female builds a loose nest of grasses and lays up to 7 pale blue eggs, which she incubates while the male guards nearby. Both parents feed the chicks once hatched, and fledglings are soon seen fluttering clumsily after their parents through the tall grass, learning the art of foraging. And when the morning fog lifts and a pair of bluebirds drifts into view, wings catching golden shadow, the forest seems newly awake, as if painted that moment in tones of sky, rust, and quiet joy. Northern hawk owl, Surnia ulula. Still as stone atop a larch, the northern hawk owl fixes its gaze on the snow-draped world below. With piercing yellow eyes and a stare that seems to cut through wind and silence alike, this bird blends the silhouette of a hawk with the soul of an owl. Its name, both common and scientific, Surnia ulula, speaks to that dual nature. Surnia, from Latin for hawk-like, and ulula, echoing the ancient word for owl. It roams the boreal forests of Canada, across Yukon, Manitoba, Ontario, and the rugged interior of British Columbia, favoring open conifer stands, bogs, and burned-over landscapes where visibility is high and prey has fewer places to hide. Measuring about 16 inches in length, with long tapered wings and an extended tail, it is one of the few owls shaped for speed and endurance. Its plumage is mottled brown and white, with dark barring across the chest and back, snow shadow camouflage for the northern woods. Unlike most owls, it hunts by day. From a high perch, it scans with hawk-like vision, then launches in a swift glide, taking voles, shrews, and even small birds with sudden, ruthless precision. Its flight is fast and direct, an arrow loosed from the trees. Nesting begins early, sometimes while snow still covers the ground. Pairs choose old woodpecker cavities or broken tree stumps. The female lays up to 9 eggs, guarded fiercely while the male delivers food in silence. Dawn spills its first light across the frozen forest. Perched high in a bare spruce, the northern hawk owl doesn't stir. It is already watching, still, unshaken, utterly present. In that pale hush, the world seems suspended. Nothing moves, yet everything is seen. Beneath its steady gaze, the boreal wilderness feels less like a place and more like a breath held between moments, silent, vast, and intensely alive. Pine grosbeak, Pinicola enucleator. Color glows against snow-draped evergreens like a berry dropped from fire, soft, crimson, and radiant. That flash of rose belongs to the pine grosbeak, Pinicola enucleator, a bird whose name means pine dweller and seed remover, titles that reflect both its home and its gentle way of life. These large finches are found across the boreal forests of Canada, from the coniferous expanses of Yukon and Alberta to the quiet woodlands of Newfoundland. They favor spruce bogs and subalpine fir stands, often appearing like ornaments scattered among snow-laden boughs. Males wear a wash of raspberry red across the head, chest, and back, contrasting with charcoal wings marked by neat white bars. Females exchange red for golden olive, equally luminous in the low winter sun. Both are plump-bodied and thick-billed, reaching about 9 inches in length, moving with a calm, almost meditative air. Their diet centers on buds, berries, and seeds, mountain ash, elder, and spruce cones. Unlike many songbirds, pine grosbeaks feed slowly and deliberately, often allowing a close approach as they pluck fruit with quiet precision, swallowing the pulp and discarding the skins. Breeding high in the north, they nest late in spring. The female builds a deep twiggy cup in a conifer's outer branches, lined with lichens and hair. She lays 2 to 5 pale blue eggs, incubating while the male brings food in soft, low calls. Pairs are often inseparable, moving together through branches in synchronized stillness. Their calls are gentle whistles, clear, hollow notes that drift through the trees like breath on glass. In winter silence, when color is rare and motion rarefied, the pine grosbeak appears not to disturb the cold, but to warm it from within, one berry-bright pulse at a time. Northern flicker, Colaptes auratus. Golden light flashes between trees as something darts low across the forest floor. Its flight more erratic than elegant, its colors glowing like fallen autumn leaves. This is the northern flicker, Colaptes auratus, a woodpecker unlike any other. Its name means golden chisel, a tribute to both its coloration and its specialized craft. Across Canada, from the damp woods of British Columbia to the open groves of Nova Scotia, this species carves out a niche all its own. It favors forest edges, meadows with scattered trees, and even city parks, where it can forage freely among ants and beetles hidden in the soil. Northern flickers are among the largest of Canadian woodpeckers, measuring up to 12.5 inches long. Their plumage is an earthy canvas, soft brown with black bars and crescent markings, a bold black bib, and flashes of color in the wings and tail, golden yellow in the eastern populations, fiery red in the western. Most surprising of all, flickers feed largely on the ground. Using their curved bills and barbed tongues, they probe into ant hills and rotting logs, lapping up insects with a flicker's characteristic vigor. Their hammering is quieter than their cousins, but their purpose just as focused. Come spring, pairs excavate nest holes in dead trees or old fence posts. The female lays 5 to 8 glossy white eggs, while both parents take turns brooding and feeding the hungry young with regurgitated meals of ants and larvae. Their call is wild and laughing, clear, clear, echoing through woodlands like a challenge. When they rise into flight, wings pulsing gold and body arcing like a thrown leaf, the flicker becomes a brushstroke of movement, scattered sunlight painted across the trees. Canada jay, Parasoreus canadensis. Mist curls through the spruce trees as a soft shape flits silently between branches. A pale face, dark crown, and gray wings blending seamlessly into the northern stillness. This is the Canada jay, Parasoreus canadensis, a bird known not for brilliance of color, but for its intelligence, boldness, and almost mythical presence in the boreal wilds. Ranging from the deep forests of Newfoundland to the mountainous interiors of British Columbia and up into the Yukon, the Canada jay inhabits remote, cold environments others shy away from. It prefers dense coniferous stands, spruce, pine, fir, where it moves with quiet confidence beneath snow-heavy boughs. Medium-sized and fluff-feathered, it measures around 11 inches in length. Plumage is a soft blend of grays and whites, designed for camouflage in snowy surroundings. Unlike its loud, brash blue cousins, this jay wears its cleverness in quiet tones, and yet it is no less curious, no less bold. Food is gathered year-round and stored in hundreds of hidden caches. Using sticky saliva, the Canada jay glues berries, insects, and scraps into bark crevices, remembering each spot with astonishing accuracy. It survives harsh winters not by fleeing, but by planning. Nesting begins remarkably early, often in late winter. Pairs construct a bulky nest of twigs and moss, insulated with feathers and fur. Snow may still blanket the forest floor as the female incubates, her mate delivering food across a landscape muffled in white. Among loggers and trappers, it's long been called the whiskey jack, a trickster spirit, a companion in solitude. It may land uninvited on your hand or backpack, eyeing your trail mix with shameless cunning. In the hush of the northern forest, the Canada jay doesn't ask to be seen. It arrives like a whisper and stays like a memory. Canada warbler, Cardellina canadensis. From the shadows beneath dripping leaves, a flash of yellow darts through the understory, crowned with charcoal and cloaked in gold. The Canada warbler, Cardellina canadensis, carries the country's name like a banner, yet remains one of its most elusive songbirds, fleeting, bright, and fiercely alive. Breeding across southern boreal Canada, from Nova Scotia through Ontario, Manitoba, and into parts of British Columbia, this warbler thrives in dense, damp forests with thick ground cover and tangled branches. It favors places others avoid, the thickets, the edges, the mossy dim beneath the canopy. Slender and sprightly, it measures about 5 inches long. Males wear a striking necklace of black streaks over a brilliant yellow breast, set against a soft gray back and bold white eye rings that give a wide-eyed, alert expression. Females are similar but subtler, their plumage muted like dusk after rain. Unlike canopy dwellers, the Canada warbler hunts low, flitting through shrubs and saplings with boundless energy. It snaps up insects mid-air, gleans spiders from leaves, and moves with such rapidity that it often vanishes between one heartbeat and the next. During courtship, males sing a rapid, tumbling song from within the thicket, never quite revealing themselves, always half in shadow. Pairs nest on or near the ground, concealed in ferns or roots. The female weaves a cup from grasses and moss, where she lays 4 to 5 speckled eggs. Each autumn, they vanish on a long, silent migration to the Andes of South America, crossing continents in near invisibility. To glimpse a Canada warbler is to catch light in motion, ephemeral, golden, and gone in a blink. It is the sound of water in the woods, the shimmer of a secret kept by leaves. Blackburnian warbler, Setophaga fusca. High in the forest canopy, where sunbeams filter through trembling spruce, a spark of fire flits among the needles, glowing orange, black, and gold. That ember in motion is the Blackburnian warbler, Setophaga fusca, a jewel of the treetops, whose flaming throat seems lit from within. This dazzling warbler breeds in the mixed and coniferous forests of eastern and central Canada, from the Maritimes to southern Manitoba. It favors tall, mature trees, especially spruce and hemlock, where it sings and forages near the uppermost branches, rarely descending to the forest floor. Males in breeding plumage are unmistakable. Their throats blaze with deep orange that fades to yellow at the breast, bordered by bold black on the face and wings, with clean white belly and wing bars. Females and juveniles wear softer versions, but the signature pattern remains. At just 5 inches long, they carry astonishing brilliance in a tiny frame. Insects form the core of their diet: moths, caterpillars, beetles, and spiders, all plucked delicately from leaves and twigs. Agile and alert, they flit and hover in short bursts, gleaning prey in silence just beneath the canopy. Their song, a high, thin series of ascending notes, is ethereal and almost questioning. Males sing from lofty perches, their voices drifting down through branches like wisps of smoke from an unseen fire. Nests are tucked into horizontal branches high in conifers. The female weaves a tidy cup from grasses, bark, and hair, raising 4 to 5 nestlings in the hush of early summer. To see one is to glimpse flame against green, a flicker of light where only shadow should be. The Blackburnian warbler does not ask for attention, it ignites it, then disappears into the leaves above. Hoary redpoll, Acanthis hornemani. Frost drapes the Arctic tundra like a veil, and from the silence rises a flicker of pale wings, faintly pink, dusted with snow, nearly vanishing against the light. That glimmer is the hoary redpoll, Acanthis hornemani, a master of winter's disguise and one of the northernmost breeding songbirds on Earth. This tiny finch makes its home across Canada's far north, from the barren isles of Nunavut to the scrub-lined edges of the boreal forest. It favors treeless, wind-scoured tundra, where dwarf willows creep close to the ground, and survival means knowing how to vanish into stillness. At just under 5.5 inches long, the hoary redpoll is smaller than a sparrow, yet wrapped in snow-toned resilience. Its plumage is pale gray and white, washed with pink across the chest, and topped with a crimson crown that glows like a spark on ice. Compared to its cousin, the common redpoll, it appears softer, paler, and more ethereal. To fuel its tiny engine, it feeds constantly, plucking seeds from birch catkins, alder cones, and wind-blown grasses. In the coldest months, it roosts in snow burrows, conserving heat in tunnels beneath the surface. Nesting begins with the Arctic thaw. The female builds a thick hidden cup in low shrubs, lining it with feathers and fur. While she broods, the male brings food, darting silently over snowmelt pools. Their calls are faint, metallic twitters that drift on endless wind, soft as falling frost. Flocks rise and settle with hardly a sound, like shadows shaped by light. They don't challenge winter. They become part of it, woven into snowdrifts, carried on wind, and written into the tundra's breath. Lapland longspur, Calcareus laponicus. Wind rushes low across Arctic tundra, stirring lichens and dry grasses, and from that quiet motion rises a flick of wings, earth-toned, brisk, and glowing with copper and black. This is the Lapland longspur, Calcareus laponicus, a ground-dwelling traveler whose name honors the Sami homeland and its elongated hind claw, used to grip frozen soil. Breeding in the high latitudes of Canada, from the northern Yukon to Baffin Island, this sparrow-like songbird thrives in vast, treeless landscapes where color is scarce and sound carries for miles. It favors mossy hummocks, rocky slopes, and windswept plains sculpted by ice and sun. In summer, males don their boldest attire, a velvety black face and chest, chestnut nape, and crisp white underparts, all sharply bordered. Females and non-breeding birds wear streaked brown camouflage, subtle yet still elegant. At just over 6 inches long, their form is delicate, built for movement and endurance. Longspurs forage almost exclusively on the ground. With rapid, hopping strides, they pick seeds, grass stems, and insects from open soil. During migration and winter, Flocks swell to hundreds, sweeping across stubble fields and prairies in rhythmic pulses, never still for long. Nesting begins with the spring melt. The female carves a shallow cup into the tundra, lining it with feathers, moss, and grass. She broods while the male stands sentry nearby, singing a high, sweet trill that spirals upward like a thread of sky. Their song is brief, their stay even shorter, but for a few wild weeks, they turn the tundra into song and flicker, movement and life. By the time the light begins its slow retreat, they are already gone, leaving behind only footprints in the moss and a melody the wind won't quite forget. Snow bunting, Plectrophaenax nivalis. Snow swirls across the Arctic plain, and just as the wind stills, the ground lifts, transformed into flight by a flock of snow buntings. Plectrophaenax nivalis, the snowflake bird, seems less like a creature of feathers than a spirit of winter itself, drifting between sky and earth in flickers of white and shadow. These birds breed in the high Arctic across Canada, Nunavut, the Northwest Territories, the northern fringes of Quebec, favoring rocky tundra ridges and frost-bleached slopes. They arrive as the ice breaks and leave before the long night returns, tightly bound to the rhythms of sun and snow. In summer plumage, males are radiant, crisp white with black wingtips and back, glowing like light carved from ice. Females are similarly elegant, but tinged with buff and brown for camouflage. At just over 6 inches long, their small bodies carry the strength of travelers who cross continents to reach this austere cradle. Foraging low to the ground, they glean seeds and insects from gravel and sparse vegetation. Agile and coordinated, they move in flocks that rise and settle like wind-blown drifts. In winter, they spread southward across open farmland, where stubble fields mimic their tundra home. Nests are hidden in rock crevices and lined with down, feathers, and moss. The female incubates alone, while the male brings food and guards the nest, alert to every movement on the barren horizon. Their calls are soft, bell-like notes, light and musical, rising above the howl of wind and sea. Even in the harshest conditions, their presence brings warmth and motion. When they rise together into the dim Arctic light, it feels like winter exhaling. The snow bunting doesn't just survive the cold, it becomes its dance, fleeting, wild, and impossibly bright. Yukon ruffed grouse, Bonassa umbellus. Frosted leaves crackle under spruce as a shape blends into the forest floor, mottled, rounded, and almost invisible. Then comes the sound, a low, rhythmic drumming that pulses through the woods like a distant heartbeat. This is the Yukon ruffed grouse, a subspecies of Bonassa umbellus, perfectly adapted to the cold hush of Canada's northern forests. From the river valleys of the Yukon to the wooded slopes of British Columbia, this elusive bird favors dense aspen stands, willow thickets, and moss-draped understory. It seeks the shelter of tangled roots and snow-covered logs, where it can vanish into the landscape like a living shadow. Its plumage is a work of camouflage, earthy browns, ash-gray streaks, and finely barred flanks. Around the neck, a collar of dark rough feathers flares when displaying. The male's broad tail fans into a dramatic arc, marked with a bold black band that flashes during courtship. Despite its chicken-like build, about 17 inches long, it moves with surprising speed and stealth. It feeds on birch and willow buds through the frozen months, switching to berries, leaves, and insects once spring unlocks the forest. Courtship begins not with a call, but a sound, a non-vocal drumming produced by rapid wing beats. It begins softly, then builds in volume and tempo, a sonic ripple that travels like thunder through trees, drawing females toward the source. Nestled at the base of a tree or hidden beneath brush, the female lays her clutch and raises the chicks alone. Her quiet clucks guide them through ferns and saplings, teaching them how to fade into the world. She does not need brilliance or song. In a forest ruled by silence and snow, presence alone is power. And the Yukon ruffed grouse remains, quiet but unwavering, a steady pulse within the northern wild. Great horned owl, Bubo virginianus. Moonlight bathes the treetops in silver, and beneath it, something ancient stirs. Two golden eyes open, round as coins, locked in unblinking stillness. This is the great horned owl, Bubo virginianus, a silent hunter etched into the very soul of the Canadian wilderness. Found from the temperate rainforests of British Columbia to the tundra's edge in the north, it is one of Canada's most widespread and adaptable raptors. Forests, grasslands, swamps, city parks, no landscape lies beyond its grasp. Its adaptability is legend, rivaled only by its patience. With a wingspan stretching nearly 5 feet and a body cloaked in mottled browns and grays, the owl blends effortlessly into bark and shadow. The iconic horns are not ears but tufts, raised in alarm or flattened in stealth. Beneath its fierce stare lies a predator shaped by time. This nocturnal master uses broad wings and fringed feathers to slice through air without sound. It glides over snow-laced clearings, zeroing in on mice beneath the frost. Even the slightest rustle, a heartbeat in the grass, is enough to trigger a strike from above. Diet includes rabbits, skunks, and birds as large as geese. Once locked in its talons, few prey escape. Its call, deep, resonant hoots, echoes across lakes and ridges, claiming dominion long before the hunt begins. Pairs bond for life, nesting early in winter. They often reuse abandoned hawk or raven nests, raising 2 to 3 owlets under the stars, sheltered by pine and cedar. In the hush of night, the great horned owl reigns not through flash or color, but through silence, precision, and presence. An ancient sentinel that watches as the forest dreams. Across Canada's vast and wild landscapes, from tundra to rainforest, each bird we've seen carries more than beauty. They are voices of snow and wind, guardians of forests, symbols of a wilderness still alive. From the piercing stare of the snowy owl to the flash of blue in a mountain bluebird's wings, these are moments that stay with us. Thank you for joining BBTV Official on this flight through Canada's avian heart. If a call, a color, or a wing beat moved you, like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which bird stole your breath away. Until next time, may the quiet wildness of Canada's skies follow you, wherever you roam.